Welcome back to another episode of Way Too Wifey. I am your host, respectfully Gabby, and in this podcast, we talk all things dating and relationships in this modern day. And if you are new here, hi, I'm Gabby. I'm an online dating coach where I help you transform your confidence to live your best lives inside and outside of relationships. You guys, it all starts from within. So if you don't feel right from within, you are going to attract chaos in your love life. I can almost guarantee that. Point blank. Period. So if you are interested in the packages that I have to offer, please hit the Stan link in my bio or in the episode description. There are a couple different things you can choose from, either a one-off session where we just meet one time, either 30 minutes or 1 hour. I do have a write-in option that is you can write in any situation that you're dealing with and I'll give you some advice on that. Or last but not least, I have an 8-week transformation program where we completely deconstruct what's going on in your love life and get to the root cause of it, make some changes, reprogram your mind in order for you to attract better. So if this sounds like something you're interested in, again, the Stan link in my bio, check it out. So we're going to hop right into the episode, right? So is being Delulu really the Solulu? I want to get into that because I do think it is a very useful tool. Really just comes down to a marketable term. Like, I think that delusion, Delulu is really just a marketable term. Last year, I don't know if you remember, I don't know if you recall, it was the lucky girl syndrome, which I made a whole episode about with one of my friends, Elizabeth, but go back and check that out if you want. But it really just comes down to the law of assumption of what it really in its entirety actually is, but it's like the trendy way of saying that. So one person makes it up and then it's this huge thing, like it's the solution, it will solve all your problems. Have that person come back into your life, manifest your specific person, whatever. I love being delusional. It's something that I've always done. It's something that I really love doing. It's fun to be delusional and just think that everything is really just happening. I assume that everything is really just happening for me. With being delusional, you can get whatever you want at the end of the day. That's literally the laws of the universe. You can have whatever you want. But what you want may not be what's in your best interest. Sometimes we want things that aren't actually going to benefit us. Sometimes we don't know what's best for us, and we attract these things into our life only to find out months, years, whatever down the line that like, actually, I really, really wanted this, but I don't actually think that this is the right fit for me. Or actually, I see who this person is now and I don't want any part of it. Yes, you can use a delusion. You can use the power of the laws of the universe to attract and bring in whatever you want. And I'm going to get into how to use this towards the end, but we're going to have a sit down chat because I think that we're just going to maybe start back from the beginning of how I've been using my delusion to get whatever I want. And I've realized I like get whatever I want in terms of relationships, in terms of connections, in terms of friendships. I literally didn't realize, but I have been doing this basically my entire life. I can think back to even in like my very first times making friends. Remember in like 3rd grade sitting down in a class full of people that I didn't know, in a school of which I didn't know, and I literally picked out 3 girls. I'm like, I'm gonna be great friends with them, and I already know it. That's gonna be my best friend, that one. And I literally, to this day, am still friends with these people. I remember this thought of sitting there and like thinking like, those are going to be my friends, and just knowing that. And then I remember a time at high school where there was this guy who was the new kid in our high school, and he was the hottest, like should not be at our school kind of hot, like on a different level than anyone else at our school. It was like, oh my God, like he was in my homeroom class, which is like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, if you're like maybe in a different country or whatever, but basically the very first class that you go into when you are arriving at school. And I saw him sit down. I'm like, is that a real person? He just looked like he was like straight out of the movies of the hot guy in our high school. It was like, he was fine. Like every girl at the end of the day had a crush on him, but I saw him first. Okay. because he was in my homeroom. And I remember thinking, like, there's no way that I have a chance. But then I'm like, you know what? Why not? Like, why don't I have a chance? I'm like, I'm going to talk to him. In my head saying that, not actually physically going up and talking to him, right? I don't know how. I just remember, like, one day presenting something, and the way that he was looking at me, I'm like, maybe I'm making this up in my head, but I think he likes me. And I'm like, there's no way every girl in the fucking school at this point has a crush on this guy. For some reason, I remember just looking at him and like thinking, I want some form of relationship with him. And I manifested that into my life, I swear to God, because I wasn't the most hot in our high school. There was other girls that were much more attractive, much more cooler than I was. I was okay. I definitely had a glow up since high school. I was just like an okay, like average girl in high school, but for some reason he liked me. I knew from that period of time that I'm like, I literally can get whatever I want. Like, I can attract any person that I want in my life. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be the best fit for me, but I can at least bring them into my life, and I can at least see for myself if this is something that I want. So ever since then, I have been using this. I will say, if you are trying to bring someone back, I do think that you should ask yourself why you want to bring them back into your life, because if they've already disrespected you, if they've already shown you who they are, if they've already rejected you in some way, do you want them back because you want to be the person to reject them? Do you want them back because you want some form of validation from them that you are desirable, that people do want you? Do you want them because your ego is telling you that you want them? Or do you want them back because they're actually a good fit for you? You can bring this person back by being delusional, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that this is going to be the best fit for you or that you're going to be happy long term. And sometimes accepting a person for who they are and who they're showing up as in that moment, accepting them for all they are, and if that person's not going to be the best, greatest fit for you, knowing that there's someone waiting for you. The more that you're waiting on your person that you want to bring back into your life, the more you're blocking your blessings from actually happening, even if it's energetically. Like, I know that sometimes, and I've done this myself, I'm not going to lie, that I have kind of waited on someone like, okay, well, the timing's not right, and it could be if the pieces fit together in a certain way and the timing was right and everything. And then me trying to control the pieces to where it fits together, even though it's really like not fitting. I'm forcing the pieces together. If you feel like you have to force it, it's probably not the right fit. Life is working out for you. That is something that I know to be true. Life will always give you what you need and will take away the things that you either don't need or that you're not ready for. Being delusional is cool, right? But live your life in the meantime. You don't have to be waiting on anyone, even if it's just energetically waiting. Start giving that energy back to you, because I can promise you, the more that you search for something on the outside of you, like you're waiting for someone to act right, you're waiting for someone to do something, to start acting a certain way and start treating you right, the more that you're waiting on other external things, the more you're putting yourself on the back burner. Using that energy and that time effectively and pouring back into you is what's going to bring the things that you want into your life. That is the whole power and the laws of the universe, is focusing more on you and focusing on doing what's right for you in this very moment. You have to accept things for what they are in this very moment. In this very moment, if that person's not treating you right, move on. Like, pack your stuff up. I know your ego is going to take a hit because it feels like you're being rejected, but if that person's not acting right in this very moment, it is good for you to move on with your life. And if that person wants to shape up and be the best person that you need them to be, they're going to do that on their own accord. But it is up for you to start pouring into yourself, because the more that you seek that externally, you're telling the universe that your time, that your attention is not valuable, and no one's going to treat you of value if you don't value yourself. If you're trying to manifest that person back into your life, I can tell you right now to focus on yourself. The more that you pour energy into yourself, the more that you focus on yourself, the more that you are making moves that are beneficial for you, the things that are right for you are going to either come back or are going to step in when the timing is right. The whole thing about being Delulu and attracting your specific person that you want, sometimes what you want isn't always what's best. Trust that everything is happening for you. If it's this person, then it's going to be. There's nothing that's going to be able to stop this. And just live your life and allow things to happen and unfold naturally. But if it's not this person, it's going to be a better, more attractive offer. I always think about that because sometimes we'll get into these phases of like, it has to be this person. But the more that it has to be this person and you're trying to control the pieces in order for it to be that person, you are showing up in the sense of a lack mentality. And the more that you have this lack mentality, like, this is the only person that's going to be able to make me happy, this is the only person that's able to fulfill this need for me. Like, if you don't think that you have options, the options aren't going to appear for you in front of you. I always say to myself, it's this or it's something better. Give me this or something better. And you just accept that for what it is. Whatever falls into place will fall into place. You just have to be patient and wait it out. Okay? Stop trying to force the pieces together in order for it to be that specific person. Because again, we don't always go for what's right for us. We don't always go for what's going to make us the most happy, because if that person's already disrespected you, I don't know about you, but for me personally, I know that that person's going to have to work doubly as hard to get my attention back into their lives, because they've already done something to either disrespect me, disrespect my time, energy. They've rejected me. So in any sense, if they've decided that this is not right for them, they're going to have to work doubly as hard to come back into my life for me to give them an ounce of my attention. The more that you value yourself, your time, your energy, your attention, that person is going to come crawling back. But it is all about internally valuing yourself. Like, that is where this all stems from, because the more that you think something's going to happen for you, the more that you are so assured, the more that you are looking at yourself as the prize, the more that you value yourself, your time, your energy, your attention, everything about you, everyone is going to flock to you. Everything is going to come directly to you. You don't have to force, you don't have to pursue. Things will fall naturally on your lap. I can absolutely assure you that. I have brought back so many people from the past that I didn't even want anymore, that have come back because I started pouring more energy into myself. And when they did come back, they weren't even attractive to me anymore. They were just like, I don't even know how I liked you. But then now they're like obsessed with me because I now hold the energy. I think the person that is willing to walk away from the situation holds all of the power in the relationship. And the more that you are chasing, the more that you're pursuing the person without them pouring anything back, they're holding all of the power in the relationship. You want to start to hold the power in the relationships, you have to be willing to walk away. You have to be willing to value yourself. You have to be willing to walk away if the first sign of disrespect. Stop tolerating what's not right for you. Stop tolerating the bare minimum. It really comes down to what you tolerate. If you want to bring that person, that specific person back, because you're like, you know what, time has passed. I do think it was right person, wrong time, but maybe some time has passed and you're reconsidering, was this person right for me all along? Use this wisely, use this carefully, use this delusion to your advantage, but also know that you can't change anyone. Everyone has the free will to act and do whatever they want. You can't change anyone at all. All you can change is how you respond, how you react, and how you move forward. Power is all from within you, but you can't change anyone else from acting a certain way. If you want to bring that person back into your life, you can use the law of assumption to do so. But it is not an easy thing. You're going to have to practice. You're going to have to work at this. First and foremost, if you want them back, you have to focus on yourself. You have to pour that energy back into yourself. Using the law of assumption, using the delusional, Delulu, lucky girl syndrome. You have to assume that it is already done. You have to assume that that person is already obsessed with you. You have to align to that vibration of that person. How does it feel to have this person in your life? How do they make you feel? Tap into that energy, visualize it, assume that it is already done, but then let it go. The more that you let it go and focus on yourself, the more that it is just going to happen. I remember, but assuming that that person has already reached out, assuming that that person's already in your life. In the moment that a negative thought comes into your head of like, oh, well, that person hasn't really reached out in this period of time. It's been months, it's been years since I last spoke to this person. You can still manifest them into your life, but the more that you think like, oh, it's been too long, they've probably forgotten about me by now. People are connected energetically. This is a thing that you have to realize. And the more that you set an intention, people can feel those things, okay? Even if it's just like a pop. You ever have a thought in your head where you think about a person from a while ago, and then all of a sudden they send you a text message like within that week, just randomly like, hey, thinking about you or whatever. I can tell you, I do this way too often. It freaks me out. I will think about someone from the past, and then I'm like, that was weird that I thought about them. And then within like a week, they'll reach out to me randomly. Like, this happens to me, I kid you not, all the time. This happens so often. And I'm like, what am I doing? Like, what? And then really, it's because that thought came from them. I'm energetically feeling them think about me. So, or I don't know exactly how this works. Maybe I planted the seed in their head. But honestly, if it's just a random thought that pops into my head, I'm like, okay, they're thinking about me, or they've thought about me. And then I acknowledge it, release it, and I swear to God, within a week, they reach out. So this does work. It's the ones that you're so obsessed with that you're like putting on a pedestal that it doesn't work for, because you're putting that person on a pedestal. You are so obsessed, clingy, and energetically they can feel that too, by the way. It's when you're like, okay, I'm going to walk away from this because I already know that it's mine. I already know that like this person's obsessed with me. And then you got to feel that energetically. Like, you can't still be obsessing about them every 2 seconds, because it's not going to work and they're not going to reach out. And I promise you from firsthand experience, when I've tried to do this with guys that I am actually like probably too into, it never works. But it's always the people that you're like indifferent about. You have to be indifferent when you are trying to manifest something, because the more that you're like, this has to happen, you're forcing it. You're forcing the pieces to fit. That being said, first step, set the intention. It already happened. Assume that it's already happened, and then be indifferent. Go about your day, pour into yourself, accept that it's already happened, and block any negative thought that comes into your head that it won't happen, or it's not for you, or whatever the case is, because it's never going to manifest if you have negative thoughts about it circulating in your brain. You know, I'm very delusional. I've always been delusional. I think a lot of people have just assumed that, oh, she doesn't get it, but I do. I get it. And being delusional just works for me. Maybe you should try it. Maybe you should stop being a realist. Okay. Just know that everything is always working out for you. I honestly, even some of the people that I'm talking, I mean, like, one of the people that I'm talking to now, I literally told him, like, I knew we would talk. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I plotted on you. Like, I already knew that we would have a conversation. He's like, okay, but I already knew it. And meanwhile, months later, it manifested into reality. I already knew that we were going to talk. I saw him. Has really fucking big following, much more than I do. And I'm like, I'm going to talk to this guy. And months later, it manifested. So you can have whatever you want, but just know that sometimes what you want isn't always what's best for you. So you can have whatever you want, and sometimes it's great, and sometimes it works out, but sometimes you come to realize that maybe what I want isn't always what's best. And sometimes you just have to trust that everything is working out in your favor. So with that being said, that is it for this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you got some kind of value out of this. If you did, please leave that 5-star rating. Please leave that thumbs up. Leave a rating wherever you're watching this. Turn on your bell notifications so you'll never miss another episode. And I will see you all next Tuesday.